everything.
Guys, it's your boy Zanik here, and today we're going to be doing a settings and just overall graphics, audio, and if you're playing on controller with PC, then with that then. But yeah, hopefully you guys do enjoy. Make sure to get, let's say, 15 likes. Alright, let's get straight into it. Cool, so let's start off with the mouse and keyboard, or keyboard and mouse, whatever you want to call it. Let's start with mouse sensitivity. In my opinion, I keep it at 12. I have a Logitech G305, and I have it on the second DPI changer, so I personally would stick with between 12 and 20, but if you have a normal DPI that cannot be changed, like a normal standard wide mouse, then I would say maybe 15, but overall I would stick with 12 for me. That's my personal preference, and I can't get it to it now. 12. And then down to aim down sight, you want it to be relative. I personally wouldn't go for legacy because it's just my personal preference, and also it speeds up when you're playing with legacy. That's pretty shit. Invert mouse look, you do not want that, because when you move left you go right, when you go right you go left, and you don't fucking want that. It's wank, so let's stick with that disabled. Honestly, if any of you guys know what I mean. Mouse acceleration, you do not want this on at all. It is cancer, because after time of you moving your mouse, it will speed up, and it's awful. I have no clue what this is. Determines how much mouse input of the previous frames is taken into the consideration. You want to keep that off, but that's your personal preference. Mouse smoothing, you don't really want that, because it's just based off of your two last frames average, so it's not really much difference. Movement, side behavior, you want to keep that. I personally would keep that at tap. I wouldn't change it to hold. Crouch behavior, that's totally up to you. You can have it on go to, hold, or toggle, but I personally keep it at toggle. Make sure airborne mantle is disabled. You don't really want that, because it will automatically jump onto things. There's no need in that. You want to be able to jump on things you want to. Otherwise, mid-fight you could be standing by a fucking car and you're jumping up. You know what I mean? Sprint, you want that on toggle. You don't want it on hold, because when you're sprinting, you don't want to keep fucking pressing it. Automatic sprint, you can put that on. I personally keep it off, because I don't like to. Because as soon as you start holding it down, you will start sprinting. And then these are the basics, W, S, and D. I have F as use, spacebar to jump, crouch is C for me, and then prone is left control. But it's all up to you at the end of the day, because you don't have to copy these settings. This is what I just personally like, and I play with on every other game mostly. Sprint is normally less shift for me, and then it's not essential, but if you want to do gestures and sprays, mine's on T, because that's close to most of my other keybinds like F and T, which is for use and stuff. And then let's go to weapons and equipment. All of this, minimum delay, switch minimum delay, I personally keep on 80, which is an okay amount, which is 80 milliseconds before you can change to your next gun again. Weapon switch wrap around, keep that on, you might as well. Movement exit enabled, so I would keep that on enabled. Weapon mount exit delay, I keep it on 100. Some of these settings aren't essential, but you keep it as up. And then these are the basic, fire, aim down sight. If any of you play differently, make sure to comment down below. Reload R, next weapon 1. I have my weapon mount on my top key, which is on the side of my mouse, or Z. But I personally stick with that, because then you have more access to it. And then for melee and alternate fire, is B. Melee is the bottom, so my bottom mouse, and then use lethal, G, and then Q. Night vision goggles, you don't really need that, because that's for multiplayer and stuff when you're playing the night vision mode. Use field upgrade is X, more, you know, so X and C is close together. Mission ability is 4. That is for the campaign mode. But let's go straight over to general. Straight on to general. Personally, I stick my field of view on 110, but you know, you can go even further. But I'm pretty sure the bulk standard is 60 or 80, which in my opinion is not good because you don't have a massive field of range. And you know, having it quite high allows you to see a lot more in front of you and around you, so then you're aware of your bins instead of like having to keep doing a full 180 to have a look around. So I keep it about 110. Brightness, I personally say easily visible, barely visible, so you know, you got to change it up a bit so it's like there. I personally would stick to 52, but that's your appearance depending on your monitor itself. I'll keep these both on 100, which are the HUD bounds, which personally should just stay at 100, you know, otherwise it'll look fucking awful. Skip introduction movie, didn't even know that was a thing. Tooltips, you don't really need that. I personally would just chuck down disabled. Subtitles, you know, if you want to read, then subtitles. Colorblind type, which you can put on, you know. Minimap shape, I keep it on circle, but it's totally up to you. You know, square just seems to take up more room, and it don't look as nice, while circle does look a lot more appealing. Minimap rotation, like that. You can have it more rotated than anything. And these are just all basic settings you don't really need. Central processing unit, CPU time, nope. And these are all the things that you can have up here. So you can have your frames, your latency, packet loss, graphic processing unit, GPU temperature, which I have on, which is 62. And then you could show the mute and blah blah, all that stuff. And then credit. Let's go straight over to graphics. Straight over to graphics. I personally say, as you can see from the previous video, I personally go for full screen, because full screen you get the full FPS you possibly can from your GPU graphics wise, and then your CPU, which is using the cores. And then, you know, stick with the same monitor and stuff, same refresh rate as you can, which is could be 144, could be 60. It's totally what your monitor is. And then this, I personally stick with 920 by 1080, and then have it on 100. So then it's not sort of blurry, because you know, if you get the wrong ratio, then it looks quite shit in my opinion. That's quite common sense. Aspect ratio, automatic, I personally keep it as that. And yet again, all of this stuff, I'm not going to go over it, you know, just make sure all your shadows and stuff are off, because in my opinion, you know, if you go to particle quality, you can see there, but when you have it off, it looks more clear in my opinion, and you can see through stuff, if that makes sense, rather than having quality and you see like a smoke particle popping up and it being fully intense and you can't see through it, if that makes sense. And then I personally keep bullet impacts, because you want to know where your bullets are going when you shoot. Tessellation, you only need it on near, because you don't want it on full, because it just takes up frames. But overall, make sure your shadows are off and stuff. And I keep anti-aliasing off. Depth of field I keep off. All this stuff is just, and also another key thing, you want to make sure that field grain is on 0. I didn't put that out in the last video, but this just makes it more grainy than anything, whilst when you have it off, there is no particles in the way, as you can see here. In my opinion, that looks quite shit, so you want to have it on 0. And also make sure these two are off, because you want to be able to see everything and be aware of your surroundings. And filmic strength, I would keep at 1, but that is your choice at the end of the day. Now on to the audio. I personally keep it at a boost high, because I don't have to have my sound too high, but I can still hear it. Like 18 for me is quite loud, and I can still hear all the footsteps. But another thing they need to fix is the footsteps as well, because you could barely hear them in my opinion. Like, you can hear them, but they're quite quiet. When the game first came out, they were fucking loud as anything. You could hear someone from a mile away, but they need to sort of work out the average, if that makes sense. But music volume 100, dialogue volume, these are all basic stuff. Juggernaut music, and then voice chat I personally keep on V, because that's quite close to most of my keybinds. It's sort of like on a quarter of my keyboard. I would say. Maybe not even a quarter of my keyboard, but V. And then I have my voice chat volume on 250 because the voice volume is quite quiet in my opinion, especially with some people's mics. Microphone volume on 100. You don't want your mic being too loud, but that also depends on your mic itself. If you have the gain down or the gain up, or the just volume in general up. And then I don't have it on any effects because I don't really want any fancy shit. And that's just to make it sound like a radio, or you want to coordinate with people with radio effects, but there's no need for it. Now if you're playing on controller, I've been told tactical is the best way to go, but I don't really know. I don't play with controllers at all, but apparently tactical is the best place. High 7 is for best, and low I would keep that at 150. These are my personal best settings, because I played Warzone on PS4 and Xbox. Aim response curve type, I personally would keep it at standard or dynamic. That's totally your choice. And also for this, I personally like it where you jump. So tactical, you jump with I'm pretty sure it's tactical. I forgot which one it is actually, but one of them is jump with your stick and move. That's it. Yeah, stick and move. Sorry, you want it on stick and move, and then you want it on. I'm pretty sure it's legacy as well. But yeah, keep everything high. But if you guys do have any other ways you like it, then feel free to comment them down below, because I don't really play on console at all, so I wouldn't know. But overall, this is basic settings, and then this is just your account and stuff that you want to keep hidden, like these two and stuff. But that's overall for settings wise. I think we should go into more in depth into the best loadout to go for in the game. Overall, the best loadout in my opinion, I personally would go for a M4A1 with the attachments of a flip hybrid, because then you get the close-up range sight, and then you get the quite long distance, which I change with its left shift. I change mine with, and then aim stability I would keep it with an M16 stock, but that's the only one I have. I'll probably eventually use a different stock, which I'll update soon, but I then use FMG as well, which is against equipment and stuff. But you could use anything, heavy hitter to fragile wounding, but I personally would stick maybe with that because you're playing Warzone, and you want to be able to wound them and make it less. They have to wait a longer time to regen health. And then I would go for a Merc foregrip. It's the best for recoil control. You don't want your bullets going everywhere, you know what I mean. 50 round mag, decent. And then let's go on to the secondary. I would use a sniper in my opinion, and I would then also go for a thermal sight, because thermal sights are very fucking handy for long distance. And the game sometimes is not easy to see people, because you can literally hide anywhere in the game. So I'll go for a thermal sight. I'd personally go for a flash guard, or even something different that you want. I personally don't use snipers, so I wouldn't go for it. And I would also use an FMJ again, or heavy hitter. It's totally up to you. But then after that, I would personally go for perk wise. I would go for quick fix, or I would go for it's totally up to you, but I personally go for quick fix overkill, so I can carry 2 primary weapons. But you can also go for ghost as well, because heartbeat sensors are a pain in the ass in this game, because you pick them up and they are so overpowered. That's another thing. If you guys ever pick up a heartbeat sensor, then you want to get it. It is amazing. Best thing to use in the game. You can see anyone anywhere, apart from if they have ghost on. And you can also get high alert as well, but I personally would stick with overkill. And then for here, I personally go for tracker, because when you're in and you've got that loadout, you can then see people's footprints and stuff on the floor which come up red, so you know where their bats are if you don't have a UAV, or if they're not moving or anything. But another good thing for Warzone as well is tune up. It takes 25% less time to revive someone, but that's just my personal opinion. At the end of the day, it's all own preferences. I personally would stick with a frag or a claymore. It depends. If you're camping, please fucking don't. I hate campers. Personally hate campers. Claymores are a pain in the arse, but it's either a molly or a frag, in my opinion. C4s aren't that good, you can't really throw them that far. And then let's go straight into tactical. I personally use a flash or a stun. Stuns are fucking powerful. Or you go for a heartbeat sensor again, because they are one of the best things you can ever use in the game. If you're, you're a 2-man, you're going against a 3-man, you don't know whereabouts they are, chuck on a heat heartbeat sensor, and you're cushy, you know what I mean? But overall, that's my personal loadout that I would use on a loadout drop. Big up the name Poop. But overall, that's it. Hopefully you guys did enjoy, and I will see you in the next video.